Good evening, YouTube. I'm just a little upset about this whole situation with Eric Garner, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to show the entire this entire video clip, and this will be like the third time that I've looked at it, and I'll explain why at the end of the clip.
See, we just sitting here. I just came here. Sitting here.
Mind my business. The fight breaker, I stopped.
Right.
Don't say you can bring up on me.
That's all right.
The people that's fighting just gonna walk away? Are you serious? I don't do nothing. Let go. What am I doing? Take you back for what? I didn't sell anything. I did nothing. We sitting here the whole time. I'm not business. What are you telling you? Who else you do what? Who else sell cigarettes to? To whom? Easy way or hard way for what? Every time you see me, you want to mess with me. I'm tired of it. This sounds today.
This guy right here is forcibly
trying
to lock somebody up for breaking up a fight.
Everybody standing there, they told you I didn't do nothing. I did not sell nothing. Because every time you see me, you want to harass me, you want to stop me, try to sell cigarettes. I'm minding my business, officer. I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone. I told you the last time, please just leave me alone. Please, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Put your hand behind your back. I can't breathe. 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 I can't breathe.
Once again, police beating up on people. Back up right here.
Back up and get on that step.
Okay.
Back up.
All he did was break up a fight. And this is what happens for breaking up a fight. This crazy.
Everybody back up, back up.
He can't breathe. Look, now I mean, they gave this man a seizure.
No, move out the way. No.
It's my brother, we live
You know
here.
what? Back up this way. Everybody now back up. It's now going to become a crisis. Back it up. Back it up.
I'm going to my house.
This way. Let's go.
Can't go in my
In the house or that way?
Alright, I go that way.
Pick a choice.
Let me get my
Let's
bike.
go. You had your chance to get your bike, sir. Staying over there. Right now we have a scene. My brother right there. He was breaking up a fight. It's all right. He's doing a good fight. That's something else.
Like I said, that's the third time that I saw that video. The first time I saw that video, I was sick. And the reason I was sick was because, but for the grace of God go I. This happened in New York, but pretty much the same thing happened to me in California. And funny thing about it, I was just newly married. As a matter of fact, I've been married that day. Was coming from my wedding reception, and the wife and I, we would just instead of leaving early like traditional people do, we stayed around to make sure that all of our guests got out okay. So anyway, my wife's son is in a car with a designated driver and another buddy of his that was loaded. Okay, but he's in the back seat, so it's cool. And we're both driving down the street. No speeding, no nothing. We pull up to a light at the corner of Crenshaw and Manchester. And as the light turns green, out pops this police car and happens to put the lights on the other car, the designated driver's car. So instead of just abandoning them, we kind of followed and then saw that they got pulled over. We circled the block and came up behind the scene. More than more than 100 feet away from the action. Anyway, they were giving grief to the driver of the car, female, who doesn't drink. They were giving her all kinds of sobriety tests, and she couldn't fail the test because she doesn't drink. So they should have just let her go immediately, but no, they wanted to harass her. Well, anyway, her brother was the guy that was in the back seat that was drunk, but he wasn't unconscious. So he took offense to them messing with his sister, so he starts getting out of the car. Well, anyway, long story short, he ends up getting arrested for drunk and disorderly. And my wife and I, we want to check on her son to make sure that he's okay. Now, all the action is over. They had called a swarm in. And if you don't know what a swarm is, that's basically every police car in an area just swarms on a particular spot as a show of force. Well, they called the swarm in, they arrested the guy, everything's all calmed down, and people are, basically want to go on about their business. So while my wife walks over to check on her son, she's talking to him, and I'm basically just standing there, and I mean literally just standing there next to my wife while she's talking to her son. I get approached by this little pipsqueak cop who asked me for my name. So I'm looking at the guy like, what do you want my name for? And then he says, well, I need your name, as a witness. I said, well, you don't need my name because I wasn't a witness. So I know my rights. They have no reason to ask me for my name, ID, or anything else. Basically, as far as they're concerned, I'm just walking down the street in a tuxedo. Anyway, he walks over to this Hispanic sergeant, I guess tells him that I don't want to give up my name. The Hispanic sergeant comes over and asks me to step over to the side. Well, I didn't think anything of it. I step over to the side, and this prick tells me that either I'm going to give them my name or they're going to arrest me and take me to jail. I said, take me to jail? Take me to jail for what? Why do I have to give you my name? He said he needed my name because I was a witness. I told him I wasn't a witness, so you guys don't need my name. Well, that's all that was said, because at that point, just as they did to Eric Garner, I got 5 cops jumping on me. Now, I'm in a lot better shape, I guess, than Eric was, because they could not overpower me. I've been working out or whatever. So anyway, when they found that they couldn't overpower me, they stepped back and they tased me 3 times. Well, obviously, being tased, that was the end of the story. They get me into the back of the police car. I'm moaning and groaning. And I have a heart condition, which they didn't know about. So they call the paramedics to check me out. The paramedics take one look at that EKG, and they rush me to the hospital because they feel like I'm having a heart attack. Anyway, after my EKG settled down, now they want to take me to jail. Okay. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the little pipsqueak Mexican cop, he turns around and says, I poked him in the eye. Now, I ask you, if 5 guys are jumping on you and all you're doing is covering up and hanging on, how the hell are you poking somebody in the eye? Well, anyway, he tried to sell that story. So I end up going to jail that night. I get bailed out like the next day, and get a lawyer. I go to court. Just as a side note, there were 2 black highway patrol guys. As soon as the fight was over, they hopped on their motorcycles and took off. They didn't even leave the names, nothing. So the original police report only had the names of the Hispanic guy, sergeant, and the other 2, another Hispanic guy, and then another white cop. We get to court, and I told obviously my attorney, he knew what to do, but the DA comes in, asks them, they tell the story how I was harassing and doing all kinds of crap, and still never saying why, explain why they needed my names. But all 3 of them lied on the stand, but the worst one was that Hispanic sergeant. He was lying his ass off. And it was so bad that my attorney didn't even get a chance to cross-examine him, because once he started lying, the judge jumped in and started asking him questions. By the time the judge got through reaming him, especially after he tried to quote a law, and then the judge quoted the entire law, and then the judge asked him if he was just walking down the street, would he be able to walk up to him and ask him his name just for walking down the street? And when the guy put his head down, that was the end of the story. So anyway, all the charges on me were dismissed. But I was lucky. I mean, obviously Eric wasn't. Now, that's just my story as far as, cops lying. There's a site, and I'm going to bring it up now. Hopefully you can see it. And I'm going to put the link in. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. It's Wikipedia, and if you look up list of killings by law enforcement officers in the United States, you're going to bring up all of the law enforcement officers that either killed people or killed themselves, suicides, etc. It is amazing the number of murders done by police officers. Now, I want to say this. It's not just black people that are being killed by these cops. If you look at that site, and I only went through like 3 months, but you have white people being killed by cops, a guy by the name of Daniel Zamora. You have Hispanics being killed by cops. You even have Native Americans being killed by cops, It's ridiculous. You got cops that are out here, in 3 or 4 cases, you had cops driving police cars and actually killing people, killed a person in a wheelchair, killed a couple of pedestrians, ran a light and killed the lady driving her own car. And that was just in the last 3 months of the year. Okay, I'm going to go to the Tamir Rice shooting, and let's just see what happened there.
The gentleman sitting in the gazebo is the gentleman that called into our dispatch center, the first call that you heard. During this time, the view that the caller has, that's what prompts the call, and that's a description that he gives us. The call times and the video is consistent. They match up with each other. That's the blurred vision that you see up there is someone that we have not identified yet, and we're not gonna show that. But that is someone that we need to talk to that has not been identified.
It keeps putting red circles around his hands so that you can see. and even when he doesn't have the gun out.
Tamir reaching in, talking on his cell phone. Our caller is no longer in the gazebo. He's walked away. Thanks, Tom. The release of this video.
Now you see this lion-ass police supervisor, captain, whatever, had the nerve to get out there before he knew about the damn video and say that his officers ordered that little kid to put the gun down 3 times. And you can clearly see in the video, they pulled up directly onto the kid. They weren't more than 10 feet away from that kid when they pulled up. The officer gets out of his car and immediately starts shooting. Now that's a bunch of bullshit. Because, you know, it just goes to show you that cops will lie. They will lie. And on that link that I gave you previously, I took a look at several of the shootings that I was somewhat familiar with, and in every last single one of them, the cops said something that the video didn't support. Every last one of them. Now, the one that is bothering me, and something needs to be done. Something needs to be done because, you know, to me, this is just a straight out attack. And if it's a black guy, you know, you're just SOL out of luck. The next video I want to show you is the Walmart video. This is where John Crawford was shot. There's no sound on this, so you're going to have to just bear with this for a minute. It's about 1 minute and 46 seconds.
2026. Sir, what's going on?
Gunshot to the store. Police officers are here. They're on the scene.
All right.
I just had these shots fired. Starting the ambulance.
Now, their story, if you look at that link, their story was that the guy was brandishing a firearm inside the store, pointing it at people, etc., etc., okay? And I guess that's the story that they got from those pricks that called the cops in on this guy, and he wasn't doing a damn thing. And if you saw the video, he's just walking around, never pointing the gun at anybody, okay? The cops came in, and they came in shooting. He's a damn shame. And on top of that, in all of these instances, none of the cops are being charged. The cops in the John Crawford case were found not to be at fault. And I don't know how the hell you're not at fault for shooting somebody who wasn't doing anything. Okay, Tamir Rice is a little kid. They get out of the car, and within 2 seconds, they're shooting at this guy. Eric Garner, they just grabbed him, you know. That was ridiculous. They put it not an illegal, because there's no actual law against the cops doing it, but there is a law against choking people in the state of New York. And anyway, and after they had subdued the guy, they kept the damn chokehold on him while he was down on the ground, and he's told them 11 times that he couldn't breathe. If they had any humanity in them, they would have at least let up off the chokehold. But nope, they maintained that chokehold, 5 cops on him, and cause of death was them stopping air from getting into his lungs, both by the chokehold and also by chest compression, which meant that the cops were leaning on the guy on his chest and he couldn't breathe. Now, yeah, the guy did have asthma, but, you know, damn. You know, you got the guy down on the ground, you got 5 of you guys there, you had to lean on the guy and you had to continue to choke him. And then the damn grand jury. Oh, let's talk about the grand juries here. The grand jury in Staten Island, if any of you guys are familiar with Simi Valley in California, Simi Valley is an area that is heavily populated by police. Policemen have their homes up there in a very, very large number. So pretty much anybody that lives up there is either a cop, a relative of a cop, or a friend of a cop. So when you pull a grand jury from friends of police, obviously they're going to side with the police. Okay, and that's what happened in the Rodney King situation. They pulled a jury from Simi Valley. You know, they take a look at the video. The video was plain as day that there was police brutality involved, but they couldn't see it because they were all friends with cops. It took the Department of Justice to step in, file charges against the cops that beat the crap out of Rodney King, and they finally ended up getting 7.5 years, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Well, that's you know, that's Simi Valley. Well, anyway, and the same situation is in Staten Island. You got a tremendous number of police officers that live out there. So when you pull a grand jury from that type of a pool, and you know, I believe it was 24 members on that grand jury, only 9 of which were minorities. There's no way that you're going to get a bill for an indictment if the DA doesn't really push it. And really all he had to do was just show the video of Eric Garner being taken down and killed, and ask for a vote at that point. And anybody in their right mind should have voted, you know, that there needed to be a trial. Now, whether the cops were convicted or not, I don't know. But the funny thing about it was the only cop that they were going after was the one who actually put the chokehold on him. But the other 4 cops that were involved, they had caused the chest compressions because they were leaning all over this guy. So they were complicit in the murder as well. But the DA, in his infinite wisdom, decided to give them all immunity from all charges. And for the life of me, I don't understand why. This is ridiculous, and we need to do something about it. It's coming to the point where, if a cop pulls up on you, you can almost claim that, you're afraid for your life and just shoot them. Now, I'm not saying to do that because, you're going to get in a world of trouble if you do that. But I'm just saying it's getting worse and worse out there, and not just for black people. The media is pumping up all of these cop shoot black person incidents because it makes news and they can jump up and down. That's MSNBC, CNN, and then Fox will come in on the other side and they'll start digging into the victim's past and claim he was a bad person. And in the case of Tamir Rice, this was a good kid, so they couldn't get anything on him, so they decided to go after his parents. Now, what does his parents have to do with him walking around, playing with a toy gun, making snowballs, etc.? Nothing, not one thing. But in order to try to assassinate the kid's character, the only way they could do it would be to go after the parents. Okay, anyway, I've made my video, and if you have any comments, please leave them. Have a great day.